Okay, I know that when many of you came to Mary Washington, you have to deal with many of the general ed requirements. One of these general ed requirements is foreign language. I know many students are not looking forward to that requirement. Today I'm going to talk to you about why it is important to learn a foreign language and why it is a requirement here. I'm going to run off a few statistics to you about foreign languages. Overall today, there are 6,192 living languages. That is a lot, and more languages have existed before. It is important to learn so many languages because it means more communication and possible friendships. 516 of these 6,192 languages are close to extinction, and we must protect them by encouraging people to learn them. Papua New Guinea has the most living languages with 820 languages in one nation. The oldest written languages that are still in existence are Chinese and Greek. So I know many of you are not looking forward to this requirement, but there are many tips you could use that will help you make the foreign language requirement a lot easier. The first is to set realistic expectations. Now, in other subjects, you may make mistakes and the professor may be very angry at you. Expect to make mistakes in foreign languages. That is the way you learn. That is the way you learn the language. It also takes a little time if you're just starting a new language to adjust to the sound of the language. Once you get used to the language, it'll just become more easier for you. Of course, you must always practice. You will never get better if you practice. It's just like a sport, just like an instrument. It's an art that you must get used to. Also, break study time into smaller chunks. Don't cram when it comes to foreign languages. The studying must be frequent, daily at least. You must use shorter periods of time, maybe 10 minutes at a time of studying the language, and constant repetition, because repetition is the only way it will get into your mind. You must also learn vocabulary effectively. I know this sounds like something you would do in first grade, but just make flashcards. It's just so much easier. Write the definition on the back with the vocabulary word in the front, and just go through them every day, and you'll learn those vocabulary words like very quickly. Also practice the language actively. Speak, don't recite to yourself. Find a partner to study with, and it will make it so much more easier because you're actually talking in that language. Also, when you're doing your homework, don't just read through the activities and say, oh, I know this. Actually write it out, because that will also help you memorize the language. I know in college you have the freedom and the choice to not do homework, but when it comes to foreign language, do it. It's just going to add additional practice for you, and you will get better at it. And when you bump into a word in your homework that you don't understand, just look it up. It'll just be another word you learn. And also look at your instructor's feedback. That always helps, and your instructor will always tell you what you are doing wrong and what you're doing right. Form study groups with people in your class to fill in the gaps that you are missing out on in class. Discuss the concepts if you don't understand a new grammar rule. And it also adds for better memorization, because when you're talking with people, you're more likely to memorize it. You should also identify your learning style. Know your pace. If you take a little more time to learn, ask your instructor for help, and maybe he or she will spend more of his or her office time to help you. And know your strengths. Say if you're good at vocabulary but not good at grammar, spend a little more time on grammar, but don't totally ignore the vocabulary. Also, maximize your language exposure. It is good to try to make friends with native speakers. That may be a little hard, but if you could get in touch with somebody, that would just help you so much more. I know here, at least for Italian, they have conversation hours where you just go one time a week and you could speak in the language, and that could actually help you because you're talking more in the language. Watch movies and listen to music. That may actually help a lot. And actually listening to music, you learn more of the slang, which could also be very fun. Communicate with your instructor. If you missed a class, seek help and practice your missed work. Now, foreign languages are important because it increases communication. It allows you to have more exposure to other cultures and information that you would not otherwise have just by speaking English. It will also give you a new view of your own culture. Learning a new language will give you the perspective of another culture, so you won't see your own culture just through the eyes of being an American. You could see it through the eyes of being Italian, Chinese, Japanese. Studies have shown that learning a foreign language at a very young age, say at elementary school level, will be more beneficial to you in the long run. It is very positive on intellectual growth. This is because when you learn a foreign language, the neural connections in your brain grow, allowing more space for learning even other subjects. It also shows better results on college entrance exams. It enhances mental development and listening and thinking in flexibility in language. Even you could even learn English at a better level. It could also, once you learn one foreign language at a young age, you can learn other ones without getting mixed up. It also gives you a grasp of your native language, and learning a language is effortless for a child. Once you reach a certain level, such as high school, it becomes so much more harder. This is why I think our schools should start teaching at a younger age instead of waiting till high school to really start teaching a foreign language. People who learn foreign languages at a young age show a lifelong love of communication, whether it's in English or another language, and that is always a good skill to have because you will be more open to more people. You will also learn how to appreciate cultures and their diversity. And if your family are immigrants, you could connect to your family culture and be able to speak to your family and make them feel like they're back at where they're from. It also gives you a head start in college requirements for language, such as if you took AP in high school, you could just go to another language level here, and it increases job opportunities. There are also many other competitive advantages in learning a foreign language. Like I mentioned before, it improves test scores. In the article, Why Study a Foreign Language, quote, research has shown that math and verbal SAT scores climb higher with each additional year of foreign language study, which means that the longer you study a foreign language, the stronger your skills become to succeed in school. Now, who doesn't want their SAT scores to be higher? This is because, especially on the verbal section, you will find words from foreign languages and you could just know them immediately. I know everyone wants to do better on the SAT, so maybe taking a foreign language will help you improve your scores. It also looks good on a college application, with each college asking for about 2 years. There are also many job advantages. This is because more businesses work closely with other countries, especially in these times, and one can work with more people. Now, here are some of the jobs. For those of you who are not really thinking of majoring maybe in science or math or business, I'm going to show you why you probably need foreign languages. In business executives, receptionists, stenography, sales, banking, finance, automobile industry, personal managers, secretary, import-export, international law, fashion industry, public relations. Now, while you could do all this without a foreign language, it will just be so much more beneficial. So many more opportunities will open for you with a foreign language. Of course, there's communications, which is kind of obvious. You could be an international operator, journalist, translator, editor, publishing, telecommunications, foreign correspondent, photographer, interpreter, customer service, advertising, and in film and entertainment. If any of you are planning to become a teacher, there are many opportunities in foreign language. You could become a teacher in elementary school. You could teach overseas, which I'm sure will be a great opportunity. You could be a tutor for people who need help in languages. You could be a textbook author and editor, an ESL teacher, a professor at college, study abroad coordinator, language school, and missionary work. Of course, there's government services, which is always needing foreign language speakers. You could work at the Peace Corps, Diplomatic Corps, court interpreter, Immigration and Customs, INS, federal agencies, overseas dependent schools, aid agencies, armed forces, UN, social work, intelligence such as the CIA, FBI, and national security. Believe it or not, the humanities and arts also need it as well. Historians to translate other cultures' histories, authors, art historians. If you speak Italian, you need to translate all those